Good morning, everyone. I'm Phil Lynch. I'm the Vice President and Director of Corporate Communications for Brown-Forman. We want to welcome everybody here this morning to Brown-Forman for this important announcement. We're here to talk about an important issue for economic and community development here in our Louisville area, but also really the region as well. We have a number of speakers. Not everybody up here is going to speak, but we do have a number of speakers, and first, of course, is our Mayor, Greg Fischer. Greg?
Thank you, Phil. Well, good morning, everybody. It's always great to be at Brown-Forman, so thank you all for hosting us here. You're tremendous community citizens here, and really one of the visionary global companies that are thriving here in our city. So thank you very much. I was in New York yesterday, and the New Yorkers were bragging on Brown-Forman yesterday, so good job. I also want to recognize Bill Hollander. Bill is over here. He's very low-key, but he's a highly effective Metro Council person for us, and we really appreciate all your good work, Bill, so thank you. About 2 weeks ago, we welcomed a reporter from the New York Times to our city, which is not unusual, but she wasn't here to write about urbanism or the architecture of our city, or our great arts scene, our great food scene, which they frequently cover, but she was here to cover another topic. She was here to cover the reactions of Cubans and Cuban Americans in the United States to the death of Fidel Castro. And a lot of people thought, well, isn't that interesting that she's going to Louisville, Kentucky to do that? And she came here because of the outstanding Cuban population that we have in our city. We now have the second largest percentage of Cuban residents in the United States outside of the state of Florida. That's something we're very proud of and very intentional of. So the story of our growing Cuban population has drawn other attention in the last year, and it's a story that's increasingly important to the city, or to the future of our great city. Cubans are part of a growing community of foreign-born immigrants who hail from over 160 countries and whose children speak 137 different languages in our school system. This is the new global reality that we live in. This is what the world looks like in 2017 and beyond, in a world that we are just really thrilled to embrace. And if we're serious about economic development and community growth, we need to embrace this new reality and welcome good, hard-working people from all around the world with open arms and only the kind of hospitality and compassion that we can have here in our great city. That's why my office joined with Greater Louisville, Inc., GLI, over a year ago to jumpstart Global Louisville, which is our strategic plan for welcoming internationals to our community and taking us to the world. So today, I'm excited to announce the completion of the Global Louisville Action Plan, which conveys our vision for welcoming immigrants as part of our overall strategy for community and economic growth. The Global Louisville Action Plan is fueled by our city value of compassion and guides our community resources to integrate, empower, and retain the immigrants who call our city and our region home now. And it outlines the work we'll do to attract more internationals to support our growth and further strengthen our economic and cultural vitality here in our city. We developed this plan by reviewing best practices around the country, taking a look at our regional data, and because we believe government works best when it works in conversation and collaboration with our citizens, we spend more than a year talking and listening to stakeholders from all sectors all over the community. The Global Louisville Action Plan calls on our community to launch some new efforts while doubling down on some really good things that are already in motion. So, for example, last August, Prospanica, the local Hispanic and Latino professionals organization, and Kentucky Health Career Center came together to prepare Spanish-speaking job seekers for job interviews. Over 200 job seekers showed up for the event. Yamilka Rodriguez, who you'll be hearing from a little later, is president of Prospanica and a major factor in the success of this effort. Kiva USA, a relationship-based crowdfunding lending platform, will pilot a citizenship loan program that will help with the fees associated with the citizenship process, which is sometimes the biggest barrier to completing naturalization. Suhas Kulkarni from Kiva is with us and will be speaking as well. Didn't know you were with Kiva now. He's our founding director from the Office for Globalization. He's a Renaissance man. Next month, my team at Metro will be launching the Louisville Welcome Academy. It's a 6-day program where immigrant leaders will build leadership skills and build connections between leaders and city officials to improve communication channels. Also, we're focused on re-credentialing. This is a critical opportunity. We've all heard stories about doctors, engineers, and other highly skilled professionals working in low-skilled jobs here because they don't have a U.S. credential. This hinders those individuals, their families, and our community, and is a very exciting pathway forward for us. In the coming year, we will assist local immigrants who have high levels of education and help them get qualified to work in their field or find work that meet their skills and education. This will help us fill some of the 30,000 open jobs that we have in the community right now. And welcoming immigrants, obviously, it's not just the right thing to do from a human standpoint. It also leads to more stable families, buying homes, starting businesses, shopping in our stores, paying taxes, and contributing to our community. Doing this, too, is also critical for our kids. We want more of our kids that are native-born, growing up with classmates from other countries and other cultures. That interaction can break down barriers and help prepare our kids to compete in the global marketplace where they will eventually become the leaders of our community. Our kids should be as comfortable operating here in Louisville as they are in London or Singapore or Cape Town or Lahore or Saigon. And our school system and our community is a critical preparation base for this. Now, the data makes the need for this clear. Since 1990, we have doubled our foreign population every decade, going from 1.2% to 6.7% today. By 2040, 1 in 6 people in Louisville will be foreign-born. And this trend is happening all over. Cities like Nashville, St. Louis, and Columbus, here in the heartland of America, are busy building plans to attract and retain immigrants as part of their own strategic growth. In Louisville, we're serious about the future, and we're not just preparing for the future, we are preparing to thrive. And because the future is more global and diverse than the past, and it leads to more interesting cities, the work outlined in the Global Louisville Action Plan is absolutely essential. As with education, sustainability, health, and everything else we do, making the Global Louisville Plan a success requires a collective effort from people and organizations from all sectors in our community. That's why I'm grateful that so many people have stepped up and already said, count me in. I want to thank a few people in the room. Suhas Kulkarni, a Global Louisville co-chair, who you'll hear from in a few minutes, has long been a leader in our globalization efforts. He was our founding director for the Office of Globalization from my administration. Thank you, Suhas, for your commitment. Brian Warren, good-looking tall fella back here, is the director for the Office for Globalization with Louisville Forward, and Emily Brandon with GLI, right back here. Thank you for your all's dedication to making Louisville a welcoming global city and all the work put into making this plan come to fruition here today. And you'll be hearing from Kent Oyler as well, the Executive Director and CEO of GLI. Thank you for the partnership. And then all kinds of folks here in our room from our international community and advocates for a long time. So we've all been working on getting to this moment for quite some time. Obviously, we've got a lot of good momentum in our city in a lot of different ways. When you take a look at our built environment, $9 billion of capital construction, 60,000 new jobs, 2,600 new businesses, 45% of adults with a college degree right now. But this kind of underlying impact in our community from globalization, all the great interfaith work that we do, Muhammad Babar's over here, his leading work that we have, the Dalai Lama coming to visit us here in a couple months. There's a buzz about our city all over the world, and the work we're doing in and around globalization is a big part of that. So that's something I'm very proud of as a city. I know Kent Oyler is as well. Kent's a great leader with us, leader for our business community and overall community as well. As I mentioned, he's the CEO of GLI, and he will now talk to us about our retention and attraction programs. Kent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. We are indeed fortunate to have a guy who understands and gets it when it comes to globalism. Mayor Fischer has traveled extensively overseas since college or earlier and really brings home that perspective, and it's showing here in this partnership. Now, many of you may not know it from my accent, but I grew up in a multicultural household in the middle of Missouri. That's true. My mother was Canadian. That's almost foreign. And She hosted a stream of foreign students and refugee families all through my childhood. And I saw the hospitality that she extended to those families and those students when they came to our country, and how she helped them get plugged into the communities in which we lived. Living in the house, I could not escape all the different foreign languages that were around us. Some customs are quite different, and the strange smelling food sometimes, and I loved it. I really loved it. So when I got to college, I had an opportunity to take a trip around the world. And when I did that, I was able to embrace and delve into dozens and dozens of different cultures. I was welcomed into people's homes, sometimes where they didn't even speak English. And I came to realize that no matter where you are in the globe, we are all a whole lot more similar than we are different. Now, I continue to travel extensively overseas, and so does my family. We have hosted 13 different foreign students ourselves and had those foreign individuals in our house living with us for years. Two of my daughters now are based overseas, and I am grateful that they are welcomed in their communities and that they can make friends that are not Americans on foreign soil. And that is what Global Louisville is all about. It is about extending this Southern hospitality that we all understand and appreciate so well to people that were born in other countries. There's a good business reason for it, of course. I think the mayor covered that in his remarks. But acting globally is good for us as individuals. Embracing globalism enhances us culturally, it expands our expectations, and it makes us just a little bit less parochial. Clearly, we need to attract more individuals, more skilled individuals, ambitious, educated people to our community to fill those 30,000 open jobs, and Global Louisville is going to help with that. And we also need to help those foreign-born people that are already here, living in our community, and Greater Louisville, or Global Louisville, will help with that as well. GLI is very, very proud to be partnering with the Mayor's Office on this important initiative. It is a natural expansion of our work in workforce development, talent attraction, and also enhances the value of the 2,500-member Global Louisville International Professionals Network that we host. And now that we've created the Greater Louisville Global Louisville Action Plan, I want to call on the businesses and the people in our community to join with us and make sure that we make Louisville a magnet for international talent. It's now my pleasure to introduce, again, Suhas Kulkarni. He is the co-chair of the Global Louisville Initiative. He is an immigrant entrepreneur himself. He is a good friend, director of the Office of Globalization, and a true leader, particularly in the international community. Suhas, thanks.
Well, good morning, everybody. Now, looking at me, you can say that I'm an immigrant. We did migrate here with my family. My daughter Nima is here somewhere 30-something years ago. And that's where we met Greg and his family, and we've been friends ever since. And one of the things that I have experienced is we came directly to Louisville from India to Louisville, never moved out of here. So this is an extraordinary town. And it has been an extraordinary town, but I have seen changes in this city for the last 30-something years, and the changes have been extraordinary too. And we are today at a momentous occasion. We are here almost in a way to re-emphasize exactly the attributes which have made this country great. And those attributes are primarily to be able to attract and absorb people from all over the world, and the collective sum of everything makes us a great country. And that's really what has sustained itself for the last 300-something odd years in this country, and hopefully with the deliberate efforts that we are making, it will continue for the next 300, 400, or 1,000 years, as long as empires stand. This is an extraordinary moment in time also in our city because of the people that are around, and I want to highlight this. The team, Brian Warren and Emily Brandon, has put together this plan and are working so hard on this whole subject. The mayor, who's now the mayor, but forever has not just been a believer, but an advocate of exactly what he's talking about. He didn't need to read from notes ever. It came out naturally because he believed in it, that sense of conviction. Kent is an entrepreneur par excellence. He can take anything and turn it around. So we are at that moment in time when anything that we touch can become gold, literally. I mean, and this is a golden opportunity for us all to get together and make this a reality. So here's my ask. My ask is, it's wonderful for us to print papers. It's wonderful for us to get data. It's wonderful for us to prove ourselves right over and over again. It's wonderful for the mayor to say that we have been successful and Kent to say that 10 businesses have come in, but nothing is going to sustain itself unless everybody in this room becomes an advocate, a believer and an advocate. And as an advocate, go out and touch 5 more people who are advocates and 5 more. And we build a movement rather than, a program. And that's what my ask is, and I hope we can make that happen. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm remiss. I was supposed to introduce Yamilka Rodriguez of Prospanica.
Hi, everybody. I am so excited about Global Louisville. I really am. I'm originally from Venezuela, and I started my journey here in this country at UCSD, at San Diego. My father did his PhD at UCSD, and so the whole family transferred there, and that was our first culture shock to this country. And then we traveled a few times back and forth, and I ended up in Cincinnati, Ohio 22 years ago. I went to UC. I studied industrial design. I did my MBA in Cincinnati, and I worked for Procter & Gamble for 13 years, and then met an international person here in Louisville, and I moved to Louisville 2 years ago, and super excited about that. I am starting my own business here, and it's called Louisville Bespoke. It's a fashion makerspace, and I could not have done that without the city help. I want to thank Christy Jarbo, Brian Warren, Emily Brandon, and Valerie Henderson, who works for SBDC on that. I am going to put a plug on here. We are having a Derby fashion show at the Speed Museum. We are so excited about that and hope to see all of you there. I lived in Cincinnati for 20 years. I was never, ever integrated into the community. I've lived here for 2 years, and I have amazing, amazing friends. It's a welcoming city by nature. So I have to say that I'm so excited about this welcoming effort. I also am the president of Prospanica, which is the Association of Hispanic Professionals. It's all about the integration and the empowerment of Hispanics here in the city. We welcome everybody, diversity included. And that was one of the things about Louisville Bespoke. It's a fashion makerspace. The vision for it is to have studio space and sewing machines so people can come. And by nature, the fashion community is super diverse, and I am so excited about that. I do have to say that from a Prospanica standpoint, we did do an effort with Kentucky Health Career Center, and Christine Turner was a big help on that, Brian Warren as well. And it was incredible how many people were there to really we were there to really assist these newcomers. A lot of them do not speak the language. It's not easy to come to a city and not be able to culturally fit in because of the language barriers. So we really tried to provide that translation so they could integrate and understand the processes that we have here. Healthcare is not easy for me. So for others, I can imagine it's really difficult. And I think it's all of our jobs to really help these newcomers and integrate them into the city. As I said before, Louisville really received me here with open arms. And I have to say that I feel like I have to give that back to the city. I've been trying to integrate myself a lot, and I've met so many great, wonderful people. And I really ask you and everybody here and everybody in the city to really get involved in some way or another. I am grateful for my friends here. I am grateful for this, to be in this city and to be in this country, and I thank you.
So we'll wrap up here, just a little bit about Brown-Forman. So, Brown-Forman has been headquartered here since 1870, but we actually sell our brands, our products in more than 160 countries around the world. In fact, we now sell more outside the United States than we do inside the United States by about 54 to 46% ratio. We also have more employees outside the United States than we do inside the United States. But we're a global corporate headquarters for this global company, and we do all of the strategic planning and measuring results from here, but our business execution occurs throughout the United States and around the world. We have offices, in every single continent except for Antarctica. We're truly a global business, and we have people of all nationalities that work here in Louisville as well as around the world. It's very important for Brown-Forman to be able to attract and retain top-notch talent, and top-notch talent are people of all nationalities. So that's why Brown-Forman strongly supports this effort, this Louisville Global Action Plan. And with that, we'll ask if there's any questions for any of the speakers for the group, or else I'm sure they'll be available for individual Q&A. Anybody have any questions for everybody?
I have a question. Mayor, the new president-elect has taken a tough stance on immigration. Is the city actively prepping for a change in immigration policy from the federal level?
I think his election rhetoric is much more intense than what reality is going to be. There's economic consequences to affecting what it is that he talked about. I think he's beginning to realize that right now. Clearly with him, the economy is the number one issue, and any kind of drastic steps taken against immigrants and refugees would have a really negative impact on our country. So, we're obviously paying attention, but I think the reality of what his campaign rhetoric is versus governing in the future is now colliding with him.
What is the administration willing to do to react to any changes in policy?
Well, that's a very broad question. Naturally, we're a welcoming city. We have been proactively communicating with our foreign-born residents here in terms of the fact of how we will continue to work with them. We want them to be welcome in our community. We've clarified what LMPD does. LMPD is not an immigration enforcement agency and have drawn those lines clearly as well. And then we continue, obviously, to make announcements like today, which is sending a strong message not just here within our city, but throughout the country and the world as well, that we welcome all foreign-born residents to come into our city and help us grow our city even further.
This has been a Metro TV production, a public service of Louisville Metro Government.